Schloss Nurburg overlooking the Nurburgring in Germany's Eifel Mountains, the venue for round 4 of the Le Mans series nearly 3 months after last racing at Spa, another classic Ardennes forest circuit. And before the real racing gets underway, a chance for drivers, like the public, to entertain themselves around the old Nurburgring, the Nordschleife. A chance also to scare the odd journalist. Light-hearted opportunities to see what the masters of the past undertook. The Nordschleife, 12 miles of daunting, twisting tarmac with little room for error. And with a chance to get to know the new circuit as well, a pre-race jog, won comfortably by the Audi drivers. Well, after one of the wettest summers on record, the Nürburgring echoing the scenes at Spa before Le Mans, bright, hot and sunny. The third race of the championship saw Peugeot take control early on. Pole-sitting Peugeot, Pedro Lamy, Stefan Sarrazin and Alexander Wurz and Jacques Villeneuve joining the team, but Wurz's race wasn't to be covered in glory. Things tense. This the final build-up to Le Mans. Little bit of contact between the two drivers. Alan McNish keeping Peugeot under attack. Jacques Villeneuve with Alan McNish, but further back, suddenly drama for Peugeot. Alexander Wurz put the car heavily into the barriers. He was battling with Dindo Capello. His Audi didn't escape unscathed either. Damaged car would drop down the order into the darkness hours. Genet, Minassian and Villeneuve in the number 2 Audi in second place. But Peugeot winning their third race, their third win in the 2008 Le Mans series. Audi also on the podium in second position. In the LMP2 class, domination of the field by the white and purple Porsche RS Spider of Van Merkstein Racing. Jos Verstappen and Peter Van Merkstein sharing that car to another LMP2 race victory. In the GT1 category, Luc Alphon's Aventure Corvette, driven by Guillaume Moreau and Patrice Goulart, not only claimed the race win, but also overtook their rivals for the lead of the category. And the Virgo Motorsport team winning in GT2, Bob Bell and Jimmy Bruni leading the class as they head towards Le Mans. So Spa then, Peugeot and Audi, one apiece on the podium, the other two cars suffering from that earlier collision. From the Belgian circuit, they headed to Spa, and things went to Le Mans, things went very badly wrong for Peugeot. Returning to the pack, though, are two drivers who suffered big accidents at Monza. Jamie Campbell-Walter, one of them.
Well, I'm fully recovered. I broke 4 vertebrae in my back, Monza, in the LMS second round, which was very unfortunate in qualifying. I've spent the last 4.5 months in a back brace, or well, for 3 months of it. And then my back brace came off through 5 weeks ago. And I've been having a course of physio and manipulation on my rib cage, my stomach, my abdomen and my back for recovery.
Frenchman Stefan Ortelli's crash at Monza gets no better with repeated viewing, but amazingly, the Monegasque only suffered a broken ankle. He missed out at Le Mans, and he, like Campbell Walter, has been training hard to get back in the car.
You always look what's going on everywhere. I think it was not more than 2 laps, nothing more than that.
Orica have examined the car in detail to make sure that, as far as they can tell, there should be no repeat.
Because we are not 100% sure about the distance, and I think it's just a safer way to go with 3 drivers.
Loic Duval, the replacement, in case Ortelli's not fully fit. Cars heading out onto track in 2 groups, the prototypes in LMP1 and LMP2 going first, and then the GT cars afterwards. Well, it was clear from free practice that Peugeot had a definite speed advantage at the Nurburgring, as they have had at every circuit they've been to in 2008. The latest updates of the 908 HDI FAP intended to try and stretch their lead in the championship. Michel Barge overseeing operations in the Peugeot garage. Pole went to Marc Genet, a 1.5 seconds quicker than last year's fastest lap set by quick Nick Minassian. The other French car only 23 thousandths behind of Lamy and Sarrazin. The big surprise of qualifying was not who was first and second, but rather who was third. And it wasn't an Audi, it was the Lola with the Aston Martin engine, the V12 that also powers Aston Martin's GT1 car in the back of the Charouz Lola. Stefan Mucker and Jean Charouz sharing the car, and it seems with the performance brakes given to the production-based engine, it's getting closer to the front of the field, splitting the diesel-powered cars. So where were the Audis? Well, they were 4th and 5th. Mike Rockenfeller and Alex Premat for the first time this season, out qualifying their older and more experienced teammates Dindo Campello and Alan McNish. So car number 2 would start on row number 2. Audi number 1 would start in 5th position. Number 1 car particularly struggling with setup and braking problems. Chronic understeer, their major worry. In the LMP2 class, it was Spa winners Van Merkstein Motorsport with Jos Verstappen this weekend sharing with Jeroen Bleekemolen, who claimed pole, ahead of John Nielsen and Casper Elgaard's Porsche in the Team Essex livery. The GT1 class, 4 cars entered here. The best time set by Thomas Enger in the Team Modena Aston Martin, the only Aston in the field. Czech also putting the car in the top 30 overall. Not bad at all, considering how many prototypes there were. And in the GT2 category, pole in the end went to Frenchman Anthony Beltoise in the farmbacker Ferrari after the points-leading Virgo car burned out in free practice.
Yeah, I mean, the race is long. We shouldn't just think of today, but for sure it's good news that there is a car between us and Audi, no doubt. It was very close between Pedro and myself, but yeah, I'm very pleased. It's the first. I had many poles last year. I didn't have many this year, so to have pole is good, very good.
So Peugeot's first qualifying session and 4th qualifying session and 4th pole position. They were 1st and 2nd. Porsche dominating proceedings in the LMP2 category with a speedy Subaru Lola in 3rd position and looking again quicker and quicker. GT1, Aston Martin ahead of the Alphon Aventure Corvettes and the Lamborghini. And right at the back, not having qualified at all, will start the points leading Virgo Ferrari in GT2. So the Nurburgring 1000 km, that translates as 195 laps or possibly 6 hours. Bright and sunny conditions, but we've had some very wet Nurburgring Le Mans Series races in the European and LMS Series. Would it stay dry? Well, the Charouz Lola Aston team was certainly hoping so. Stefan Mucker and Jan Charouz starting on row 2 of the grid, but in front of them, the Peugeots. Marc Genet and Nick Minassian and Pedro Lamy and Stefan Sarrazin. The number 7 car starting from pole position. Well, Michel Barge and Jean-Philippe Collin watching from the Peugeot pits for the start of the race. Pole position, Marc Genet and Nick Minassian in the number 7 car. And they take the outside line down into the first corner. That's the racing line. It's clean, and there's a very early getaway. The lights off immediately. Power on straight away. The Charuz Lola Aston battling with the Astons, with the Audis, but from pole position, the number 7 car sweeps round into the lead. There's an Audi up into third momentarily. Jean Charuz fights back Stefan Mukarada, who started the race in the Charuz Lola, and around in the middle of the field goes the Barazzi Epsilon car. On board with Mike Rockenfeller and Alex Premar's Audi. There is the third place Lola Aston in front. See how much better it was able to hold the apex. Audi really struggling with understeer and braking problems at the Nurburgring circuit, which is both low grip and abrasive. Number 2 car in 4th place, and already the battle for third, leaving behind the number 1 Audi as the Peugeots clear off into the early distance. Prema has had enough after 9 minutes of the race, losing ground to the Audis, dives inside the Lola Aston for third place. Mike Rockenfeller, his teammate, enjoying that. Meanwhile, the Van Merkstein Porsche with Jos Verstappen up is leading in the LMP2 category. The car qualified on pole position with a couple of faster prototypes between itself and the Team Essex car, which is second ahead of the speedy Sabah Lola Coupe with its Judd motor. Olivier Beretta's Corvette starting from the back of the grid after problems in qualifying, and starting from the pit lane after a fire on Friday and 2 all-nighters to rebuild it. The Virgo Motorsport Ferrari with Jimmy Bruni up already carving its way through the field as the leaders get into traffic as early as lap 5. The battles will yo-yo up and down all afternoon. You look at the Essex Racing Porsche in second place. Casper Elgaard doing a good job to close onto the tail of the Van Merkstein Porsche in the early going, but then losing ground in traffic. The Lola Judd, Speedy Sabah with Andrea Bellicchi doing the opening stint. First major drama for Alphon Aventure. Car coming into the pit lane with a puncture. Young Frenchman Guillaume Moreau, ex-World Series by Renault star, having the tyre replaced, but it cost them a lot of time. The Speedy Coupe in front of Thomas Eng, the GT1 class leader, sharing that car with Spaniard Antonio Garcia. Garcia, incidentally, not quite insane enough to lend Enger his brand new Aston Martin Volante to have some fast laps of the old Nürburgring win on Saturday night. Leaders carving their way through traffic, and 4 different classes, all sorts of different battles going on. Mark Liebman, Alex Davison leading a Porsche 1-2 in the GT2 category early on. Felbermeyer Porsche out front. And the Virgo Motorsport car, Jimmy Bruni, starting from the pit lane, and by inside an hour, the car, which was gutted by fire, everything behind the driver's head essentially was rebuilt fresh for Sunday morning. Did a few laps in the warm-up and started the race from the pit lane. Took less than an hour to move into the lead of that GT2 class. Just after the half-hour mark, we're with the leaders fighting their way through traffic. Sarrazin following teammate Minassian. Minassian got blocked. Sarrazin moving through into the lead. Well, now he's finding himself held up. Slower cars staying on the racing line. And it's up to the leaders, the faster cars, to try and find a way through. And of course, Sarrazin seeming to forget that just momentarily. Gesticulating at the Cruz Schiller Lola. First of the pit stops. Leader is in. Tyres available if necessary. No driver change. No dramas for Peugeot, who have certainly addressed the tardiness of their early season pit stops. Now it seems that the one weakness in their armoury is no longer an armoury problem. Nearly had his nose cut off by the Charouz Lola Aston of Stefan Mucker. And the leader waving wildly as the second place Peugeot is in the pits. So Sarrazin struggles past Stefan Mucker, only to have the Lola Aston come by under braking. And it's a whole lap later before the Peugeot gets a decent enough straight in which to stretch its legs, showing just how competitive this Lola Aston Martin could become. And Sarrazin knew he had the pace to do it and wasn't willing to take any risks, but the lead has changed hands. Number 7 back in front. Pole position car once more. Still with Nick Minassian on board. Stefan Sarrazin charging hard. Problems though for Pescarolo. Neither car qualified very well. And Christophe Tanso struggling back. Peugeot leading, Audi 3rd and 4th, Lola Aston in 5th, with the LMP2 leading Van Merkstein Porsche up to 6th place overall. Part of endurance racing is the pit stops and sorting out problems with the cars, and a lot of design time goes into optimizing not only the speed of the pit stops, but the speed with which broken or damaged components can be repaired. After all, you can't win a race if you're stationary.
1 or 2 wheels badly damaged, wishbone, the suspension, that should be 10 minutes, you know, to change, but nothing is really very long to change.
A 1,000-kilometer race like the Nurburgring, tons of spare parts are standing by.
In fact, it's a lot of spare parts, because if you look at a car, you know, you have, for each car, you have a second car in spare parts.
And of course, you have to pay for them before you find out whether you actually need them. It basically doubles the budget for running a car.
If you consider that the price of a car is something like 600,000 euros, the spare parts added to that price, it's about 300 or 250,000 euros, you know. You have half of the price of the car as the spare parts, you know.
For 24 hours of Le Mans, Pescarolo built 2 completely new cars, and those have become a complete set of parts for the rest of the season in the LMS. Into the second hour of the 1,000 kilometers at the Nürburgring, Peugeot running away from their Audi rivals. Much quicker in practice and in qualifying, and their race pace as well is something the Audis just can't hold a candle to.
Both cars have the same compound. At the moment, the number 7 is leading the race. The number 8 is behind. Are they pulling out? They're pulling away from the Audi. We ask them to keep the position and try to pull away again as much as they can.
So Saunier, technical boss at Peugeot Sports, delighted with the way things are going. Audi in 3rd and 4th, can they offer anything to the Peugeots? Their experienced team boss is Ralf Juttner.
The race has just settled into a rhythm, and the Peugeots, as usual, we have to say, are a little bit quicker. They edge away a little bit. Obviously, here again, we can run a little longer on the fuel. Whether that makes a difference towards the end of the race, we will have to see. We'll try to keep that gap constant, which we have at the minute, and not have it increase much more. So when there is a little bit of problem, we can be there. That's the plan, and with the fuel consumption, we have to see whether we can get a benefit out of that.
Well, problems are always possible in endurance racing. Here in the GT1 category, the Alfa Venture Corvette in trouble after a pit stop. Now, it had earlier contact. You saw the damage with the spare tyre, and then getting contact with the Cruise Lola Motorsport Mazda. A Lola Mazda damaging the right rear suspension. Coming in is the number 73 car. So both Alfa and Aventure Corvettes in the pits at the same time, and behind the Corvette, trouble as well for the number 90 Ferrari. That Farnbacher racing car that started on pole, off in the gravel, caught out by the slow Corvette. GT1 being led by Antonio Garcia, Thomas Engers, Team Modena, Aston Martin, and the Lamborghini, the only healthy running car, now challenging in the competition. And the drama for the Alphon team is now to build two good cars, or two damaged cars, into one good one. On board with the Lamborghini, Spartak racing car shared by Roman Rusanov and Peter Cox, hoping to make it up onto the podium ahead of the Corvettes into second place in the GT1 category. As the Alphon team get going with their rebuild, another successful rebuild, as Bob Bell and Jimmy Bruni lead the GT2 class in the Virgo Motorsport Ferrari, leading the GT2 championship and leading the class after starting in the pit lane. Behind them, a slew of Porsches, 76 and 77, the IMSA Matmut Performance and Felbermeyer Proton cars, Raymond Arak and Richard Lietz in second, Mark Lieb and Alex Davison in third place, and that is the IMSA car lying in second spot. Richard Lietz, the factory driver, sharing with French amateur Romain Marac. And they've done a very strong job. On board with another Porsche, this time it's the LMP2 leading Van Merkstein Porsche, Jos Verstappen and Jeroen Blekemolen. The word is that Peter Van Merkstein is going to leave the series after Silverstone and go rallying. Question is, what will happen to that car? Maybe we're going to see some Blekemolens in it next year. The Speedy Racing Lola Coupe, third place in the LMP2 category, and the number 31 Essex car being towed out of the gravel, going off just in front of the leaders. Worrying moments for the two Peugeots. Down the pit lane with smoke coming off the back of the car, the number 10 Chareuse Lola Aston Martin was in fifth place. Now then, is that tyre, bodywork or engine? One or two of those options wouldn't be too much of a drama. The third one clearly would. Battle to stay on the lead lap. Dindo Capello and Alain Benish's number 1 Audi has got the leading Peugeot behind of Pedro Lamy and Stefan Sarazan, just about to put a lap on them. Well, that's not something that Nish, who's at the wheel of the number 1 Audi, will greatly appreciate. Desperate to try and stay in touch with the leaders. If you go a lap down, suddenly with a safety car potential, if rain arrived or a major accident, you could really start to struggle. On board, Pedro Lamy at the wheel, making it all look fairly straightforward in the pits, winning the battle of the Le Mans Techno Park between Pescarolo and the Orica team is the number 6 Team Matmut Orica with its Courage chassis. Orica recently bought the Le Mans-based Courage team, of course. Olivier Panis and Nicolas Lapierre sharing this one. The car, though, running under protest because it was excluded before the race.
The key point is the tires. I don't know if you did a double stint, but we did a double stint, but we changed the tire for safety issue. But I think the track improved. I think we try to do a stint with the same tires.
About the traffic, it's not so much difficult.
It is very, very difficult here. Someone is make a big effort, someone is difficult for them, but I think for everyone is the same problem.
So the number 6 car in 10th place, but racing under protest after being disqualified for backing up in the pit lane before qualifying. Not allowed to go the wrong direction round a race course. LMP2 leaders still in the top 10 in 6th place, and a close battle in LMP for the other podium places. Well, of course, getting the news of the races across the world is a vital part of Le Mans Series organisation, and dozens, if not hundreds of photographers are on hand to try and get the pictures out to the publications.
A photographer is the first window from the circuit to the public and to the population in general. So I know that a lot of pictures, increase the interest of the public for motorsport and for Le Mans series especially.
Britain's John Brooks is one of the most experienced photojournalists in the business. He covers a whole host of different championships.
Normally I'm between 5,000 and 6,000, maybe 7. It depends on whether I'm working in the pits that weekend or I'm out on the track. If you're on the track, you shoot a lot more. If you're in the pits, you tend to shoot 2 or 3 shots and move on, whereas at the track you fire away and then you delete a lot.
That, of course, is the delight of the digital era. You can shoot as many frames as you like and then delete the ones that are no good. Big agencies like DPPI sort out tens of thousands of photos every single race weekend.
Ces photos, donc, elles sont
Jean-Michel Meur says the photos are sent to the DPPI site and onto the different manufacturer sites that we're contracted to. Then the magazines from around the world who subscribe to DPPI can choose what they want, download them, and of course, when they use them, then they pay us for them.
Piochent dans la production du week-end et prennent ce dont ils ont besoin en fonction de l'actualité.
Well, for many fans, the chance to become a race photographer is something of a dream. But it's not just watching the cars and snapping away.
De toute façon, ça sera un métier toujours difficile parce que
no, it's always going to be a difficult career, says Jean-Michel, because first of all, you have to get yourself started. You need connections to be able to sell the photos. And sometimes you have to put yourself places where maybe people don't want you to go. Well, that's always been the way. It can also be a bit of a risky business.
If a situation makes me feel uncomfortable or it feels not right, I will move away. There's no shot worth being killed for.
But the rewards are quite amazing in what they can produce. Peugeot, the dominant force of the Nurburgring, round 4 of the Le Mans series for 2008, and after the disappointment of losing the 24 Hours of Le Mans to Audi, their determination to win the Le Mans series has been redoubled. Well, with the pace of the diesel Peugeots, they've already put a lap on the leading Audi, and that gives them a great buffer in case rain, accident or something else brings out the safety car. It means that Audi will not be able to close right up onto the back of them. They will still be stuck a lap adrift. Marc Genet, second overall in the car he shares with Nick Minasian. That's the car that was on pole position, got caught out in traffic, lost the lead, regained the lead, and has lost it again. Third place overall, Mike Rockenfeller sharing with Alex Prema, the younger pair of the Audi drivers in the number 2 car. That's in third place, about 1 minute and 15 seconds behind the second place Peugeot. Pedro Lamy and Stefan Sarrazin out front in the black, blue and white number 8 car. Constantly working your way through traffic is the story of the Nürburgring. It's a full Grand Prix length circuit, but unlike Le Mans, when you've got 46 cars on it, it gets very busy indeed. Here's the 4th place car, Alain McNish taking over from Dindo Capello. The Italian doing the opening double stint, McNish doing a double stint in the middle of the race, and then they'll single stint through to the end in what is expected to be a 4-stop and a splash race. 4 stops not quite enough to do the distance unless there is a big intervention of a safety car. The race pace very hot indeed. GT1 dominated by the only healthy car, the Aston Martin of Team Modena. And the second car, the Lamborghini of Roman Rusinov and Peter Cox. Still second, but many laps behind the Aston Martin, and only second by virtue of the fact that both Alphon Corvettes are in the pits. Now the rebuilding work complete. This is the points leader in the GT1 category. The 73 cars fuel system rebuilt into the 72 car, and out goes car number 72. Car shared by Guillaume Moreau, Patrice Goulart and Luc Alphon himself. In in the GT2 category. Still the Virgo Motorsport Ferrari at the top of the tree, ahead of the Porsches of Raymond Arak, Richard Lietz and Mark Lieb and Alex Davison. Fourth is that car, the 99 Ferrari, Ben Orchard's JMB racing car. He's sharing with Stefan Dowdy, and Ben Orchard and the French driver Dowdy doing a very good job indeed, challenging for a podium position. It's not often you see a tyre on its own, and this immediately alerted us to somebody's dramas, and it was another one for the Pescarolo team. The number 16 car, Manu Collard and Gilles Bouillon, losing a tyre through a puncture and lots of time as well. You can see damage on the left rear of the car. Punctures generally don't tend to be confined to just damaging the tyre. As the damaged tyre flails around, all sorts of other things tend to go wrong. Straightforward pit stop for the Capello McNish Audi. Fuel taken on, no driver change, no tyres. On board with the race leader, Pedro Lamy, sharing this car with Stefan Sarrazin, working his way through traffic. You can see it's pretty low grip. And there's the Audi. Little contact between the two of them, just a tiny little bump. That's through the tight chicane at the end of the lap. And you can again from on board hear just how quiet these cars are. Pedro Lamy, Stefan Sarrazin battling with the number 1 Audi of Dindo Capello and Alan McNish. And that car now up to third at the 3-hour mark, ahead of its sister car, but two Peugeots 20 seconds apart and running away at the front of the field. Endurance racing tends to be a combination of the best factors: drivers, cars, fuel and tyres, and lubricants and fuel becoming an increasingly important part of the performance package, particularly as the car manufacturers try and build what they learn in racing back into cars.
It's been developed in cooperation with the teams, which have a chance to test it, and then we deliver it, as I said, around Europe and anywhere where the tests are being conducted.
Well, racing fuels and lubricants have always learned a great deal from the punishment that racing cars give to them. And the fuels specially blended for the petrol and diesel engines.
Blended racing diesel. It's the same diesel as used in the 24 hours in Le Mans. It contains a specific component called GTL.
And these fuels are really designed for ultra-high performance engines. They would not run well in your road car, but as rolling laboratories, the Le Mans Series cars provide an awful lot of very immediate feedback.
It's a constantly developing test field for all people involved, and for us as well. You know, fuel next year, racing fuel next year may be looking completely different. Not completely, but it may be enhanced on based on the experience that we have made this year or whenever.
And of course, by getting better performance, you tend to get better economy from the fuel as well, which is something that every oil producer wants to be able to offer its customers at the pump. Back with the race, and the number 8 Peugeot still comfortably out front, lapping with metronome precision around the Nurburgring circuit. The only variation in race pace caused as they catch and pass traffic. Pedro Lamy at the wheel of the car he shares with Stefan Sarrazin, and so far absolutely flawless performance from the two 908 HTI FAPs. In second place, Marc Genet at the wheel of the number 7 car, started by Nick Minassian. Just putting another lap on the number 10, Charuz Racing Lola Aston Martin, which is the best of the petrol engine cars, in 5th place, because despite out qualifying the Audis, it did not have the race pace to stay in front. Well, so far in 2008, something has happened to interrupt the flow at the front of the field, but as yet, nothing much has done so. Alan McNish still at the helm of car number 1 in 3rd place. Ahead of the sister car in 4th place, Mike Rockenfeller and Alex Premat, joint championship leaders with Genet Minassian as they came to the Nürburgring. And with Janelle Menassion in second place, fourth, not going to help Rockefeller and Premat with just the race at Silverstone left. But as you see the JWA Porsche lock up in front, you can see what the problems are, trying to find your way around the slower cars. Not all of them are actually that much slower. After technical problems in the second hour, the Lola Aston back on track. Fifth place, still comfortably the best of the rest. Sixth position, the number 5 Orica, Loic Duval, sharing with Stefan Ortelli and Sohail Ayari. Ortelli coming back from that dramatic Monza accident, and still feeling not quite fully race fit, and you don't want to be in one of these if you're not feeling 110%. So Ortelli allowing the younger guys to do the lion's share of the work. Once more, the number 16 Peugeot causing its team all sorts of heartbreak. This time, it's Jean-Christophe Bouillon in the gravel. And the replay shows Jules just going straight off under braking. Spinning out right off the exit of the corner. Henri Pescarolo watching as his car strikes trouble again. It seems that a mechanical failure dropped the car in the gravel and out of the race.
The first thing was a spun because of the puncture. We had a puncture on the rear tire, so that was the reason I spun the first time. But at the same time, we had a problem on the rear suspension. We haven't seen it when we have changed the tires, and that was the reason I was on the gravel trap the second time.
Is it not possible to repair the car and restart the race?
It would take too long because it's had so much gravel on the floor in the car, so it will take too long to repair that.
Difficult season for Pescarolo. Don't forget they were Le Mans Series champions 2 years ago. Leading in the LMP2 category, still the purple and white Porsche RS Spider, their Van Merkstein car out front. Behind them, the Horag Racing for Porsche, Freddie Lienhardt, Didier Tace and Jan Lammers. And in third, the LMP2 Pescarolo Judd, the Saunier Racing entry of youngsters Pierre Rague and Mathieu Lahaye coming on very strongly as the Sabar Racing car hits problems. On board with Mike Rockefeller and Alex Premat, following the number 1 Audi of Dindo Capello, and fighting their way through traffic. Looking for a chance to try and move up perhaps into third place. Number 2 car looking to try and capitalise on their point scoring opportunities here. So Peugeot rolling away out front. Number 2 car on a different fuel strategy now to car number 1, has put them in front temporarily. LMP2 battle looks to be being settled for the lead, but behind it's very close for second place. GT1 still dominated by the Team Modena Aston. Well, one thing that sports car racing produces an opportunity for lots of drivers to race at the same time, and the Le Mans Series is not unique in having female competitors. 2 were at the Nurburgring. Vanina Ickx, daughter of the great Jackie Ickx, and America's Liz Halliday returning to the series. Well, Halliday had hoped to be representing the USA at Beijing in equestrianism, but instead she's racing at the Nurburgring.
Obviously, we're a minority in the sport, so you have to really make a bigger effort to perform at your best. And if you do make a mistake, then sometimes people notice that more. But you know, also these are really big, fast sports cars, high downforce. So we've got to make a bit more of an effort on the physicality side of it. You know, a lot more training in the upper body and the neck area.
I think you need to do spend twice as much energy as a guy would to be respected at the same level.
Behind the wheel, it doesn't really turn into who's a man and who's a woman. It's just the speed of the car. But of course, you can't get away from the obvious journalist questions.
Very different, you know. Before I go in the car, I get little makeup set, and when I go out of the car, I have a brush for my hair and something for my eyelids. So, no, seriously, I guess we're the same once we have a helmet on.
You know, at the same time, I try and make an effort that when I'm in the car, I'm a driver. I don't look at it as being a woman or a man. I just do my best to get in and be a driver. And I think that's very important so that you can actually, you know, compete at the same level without letting it get in your head or hamper you in any way.
Well, women are still pretty rare in motorsports. What would Vanina and Liz advise to aspiring young women racing drivers?
I would say just don't let anything hold you back. Don't ever look at it like you can't achieve it because you're a woman.
I would tell her to give all she has and to give it a try. It's not a matter of strength racing, really. It's a matter of how strong you are in the head, and women can be stronger.
Ain't that the truth? Stay with us for more from the 1,000 kilometers of the Nurburgring in just a second. Busy track still in the Nurburgring 1,000 kilometers, round 4 of the Le Mans series. There's Ralph Kellener's Spiker with the LMP2 cars going through. The Essex Lola taps in from behind, spins him out. That car fourth in the GT2 category after a very strong race showing from both Spikers. No damage done, but time lost is always hard to get back. Trouble in the GT1 class, though. This is Peter Cox's car. And the Lamborghini he shares with Roman Rusinov rolled to a slow halt, and Cox has had to park it. They are out of the race. The GT1 leader, still Thomas Enger, with Antonio Garcia, his teammate, in the Team Modena Aston Martin. And it looks as though the Alphon Aventure Corvette has been rebuilt just in time to qualify as a finisher. They need to do 70% of race distance, and it's going to be a very tight run thing. If the safety car comes out, there may be just one finisher in the GT1 class. There is the Corvette. Luc Alphon, the team boss, doing some of the driving, sharing with Guillaume Moreau and Patrice Goulart. It's nearly an hour behind the GT1 leader, never mind the overall leader. And second in class is up for grabs. But if it doesn't run long, then they could be run for the #1 Audi. Full set of tyres as well, and that has served to shuffle the #2 car up into third place. This is the Janae Menashian car.
They just never stop. That's the difference between a privateer and a team like this. You know, Peugeot Total are just consistently working on the car. It's never exactly the same car. It's always better. So you cannot ask for better than this.
Well, is that the case at Audi? Is the car getting better and better?
Well, they were fast from the beginning. We knew that. Unfortunately, you know, with our car, we try everything, but the car is now in the 3rd year running, so we are pretty much at the end with the development. And that's all we have, and we try to be efficient and do a good team job, and then maybe we can win it still.
Trouble for the second car in the GT2 category. This is the Horag Racing Porsche Spider. Freddie Lienhardt, Didier Tess, Jan Lammers, the 3 drivers. Less than an hour to go, second in the GT2 category, and it's pushed back into the garage with Jan Lammers on board, and that means the chance of a podium finish is very unlikely to stay with them. Well, that's good news for the Saunier Racing duo. In their LMP2 Pescarolo Judd, Mathieu Lahaye and Pierre Rag now move up to 2nd place, ahead of the Essex Racing Porsche in 3rd. So Henri Pescarolo's big LMP1 chassis might be having a horrible weekend, but in the LMP2 class, the Pescarolo name is going well. Jeroen Bleekemolen sharing with Jos Verstappen. Peter van Merkstein absent at the nearby Rally Deutschland World Rally Championship event. So Jeroen Bleekemolen leading the Porsche Super Cup at the moment, a very handy substitute indeed, and of course very much in the Porsche family as well.
We have a 3-lap gap between us and the second one, so we are going slowly and bring the car home. We have no issues, everything is working normal, everything is perfect, so we have no issues.
Why has it been going so well, do you think, for you today?
Well, I think, first of all, we have a very good car, very balanced, easy to drive, not much problems we have with it, nothing. you can change the car very well to how you like to drive it, and it's just a perfect car. I mean, Jeroen is doing a good job. We are going quick, stay out of trouble, and then it goes so well.
Staying out of trouble, of course, such an important part of any endurance race. Just about an hour to go to the finish. Peugeot still 1-2. Audi's shuffling around in third and fourth, and the GT1 leading Aston Martin now into the top 20 overall. Well, something that endurance racing has always been able to do is break in new young drivers. And there are a few notable stars emerging in 2008.
It's far easier to become a professional driver in sports cars than it is in single-seaters. You know, there's people bringing money to Formula One teams. Here, you can become a professional very young.
Sometimes they start out getting sidetracked into sports cars, but then they often find they don't want to leave.
Once you arrive there and you are in the endurance race, it's much more exciting than other series, because it's just you are working all the time, you are all the time involved in the car, and really hard work at the end. I thought it was gonna be easier, but it's really there is a lot of drivers with a lot of experience, ex-Formula One drivers, and it's a really hard series.
Actually, a lot of young drivers understand that it's a very good training to have a competitive car in endurance, to be more competitive in a single-seater. So you see young drivers coming now.
And Henri Pescarolo has done a lot to help promote young driver talent, especially French young driver talent.
I think now everything is going to change, because, again, manufacturers are coming in endurance, you know. When you look at a team like a Peugeot or Audi, even for a single-seater driver, it's really they want, and they want to drive such a fantastic cars.
Well, a very good example of that is Audi's Alex Premat. He battled with Hamilton and Rosberg in GP2, didn't make the break into Formula One, but he's found a new family in the Audi team in DTM and the Le Mans Series.
I think I'm very good way today to push and to continue in the sport car, because I like it, I like to share, and I like the atmosphere and the ambience about all drivers, and as well of the fans. So I like it, and definitely I hope to stay a long time on this series.
Heading into the final stages of the Nurburgring 1000 kilometers, hot and dry all the way through. Rain was forecast on every day of the weekend and failed to transpire. In the GT1 class, well, it was a comfortable pole for Thomas Enger in the Team Modena Aston Martin, and he and Antonio Garcia did not put a foot wrong all weekend. The car didn't sustain any damage, no scratches on their way to a GT1 win. On their way to a GT2 win, a conflagration on Friday's free practice that gutted the car was a major setback, but an astonishing repair job by the team, with truckloads of factory Ferrari spares and huge amounts of elbow grease rewarded, with Rob Bell and Jimmy Bruni taking the GT2 win for Virgo Motorsport. Closing action, seeing the Peugeots dominant right from the start. They topped the timing screens all the way through. Dindo Capello and the rest of the Audi crew could only sit and watch. Marginet and Nick Minassian leading the race. They didn't win at Le Mans, but it looked like they're going to win at the Nürburgring. Late tyre change for Alan McNish and Dindo Capello's #1 car. Strictly necessary? Well, what happened was it actually allowed the #2 car up into third place, and with the second place car across the line being their championship rivals, that was a good thing. Pedro Lamy and Stefan Sarazando taking the checkered flag for Peugeot's fourth
always
win.
A good track for me. I'm winning a lot, and again, another win. Stefan did a great job, the team did a great job. First and second is great for Peugeot.
Absolutely, and that the battle quite difficult between you you and the other car as well, the 7 and 8.
Yeah, it's true. It's open fight, and it's very nice to be in a team like that. That we can fight inside the track. It was nice win.
So the Van Merkstein Porsche taking the LMP2 win. And that means that the team and Jos Verstappen are the champions.
And in the race, we were leading nearly all the laps. In the beginning, we had a tough fight, but after the first stint, we had a gap, and it was after that not so difficult anymore.
And that was Jeroen Blekemolen and not Peter Van Merkstein. No problems either for Anger and Garcia winning in GT1.
We are 10 points behind the leaders. We know we have to win, and we just have to hope for them not scoring any points, and we could be champions. But I don't think it's real, and I don't think it's a reality. So we'll try our best.
And a major weekend for the Virgo Motorsport team in GT2.
For Ferrari, the team did just an unbelievable job to rebuild the car, fix the car after the flame and the fire in Friday. So I'm very happy for them, and of course for us. You know, it's fantastic.
So the Nurburgring and Peugeot claimed their first 1-2 result of the season, surprisingly. And the only thing that did rain down on the track was champagne. Peugeot win again, but the championship leading number 7 pair just 2 points ahead of their Audi rivals with 1 race remaining. Should they have been shuffled to the lead? Well, only the Silverstone result can tell us. And that's where we head next for the final and 5th race in the Le Mans Series 2008. The Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone, the 13th and 14th of September. If you can be there, do be. The Silverstone 1000 kilometers has always been a classic, and it will decide this year's series.